Just forgive me, will you, if I sort of take a little bit of time just setting this out and why I think it's important, because it is complicated and it involves characters that, we may not have heard of or be that familiar with, but it's really important because for my money, I just do not think that this story is being reported properly. It's not being talked about properly. And I actually think it is possibly the most important global story right now. And that is the role that Elon Musk is coming to occupy and take in our politics, our financial lives, economics, the economic model and world that we're living in, our technological lives as well. And I think that there is a possibility, and this is what I want to talk to you about, that this is a man who becomes more powerful than pretty much anybody in human history, and how dangerous I think that is. Not just because Musk, in all sorts of ways, is clearly not an appropriate individual to exercise and exert that sort of power, but because it would be inappropriate and wrong for anyone, even a philosopher king himself, even Solon, to occupy that kind of power. You'll be aware, of course, and this sort of breaks down into two sections for you. Well, three, but the first part is the easiest bit. We know Musk is very rich. He's either the richest or second richest man in the world. His wealth is astounding. He basically rivals many actual countries, sovereign states in the world for the amount of wealth he controls. We can have a debate, an argument about whether we think it is appropriate for anyone to command that sort of wealth. It obviously confers upon him enormous power. But let's leave that to one side because we knew that. And there are lots of people who are very, very wealthy and keep a much lower profile. Musk, to his credit, I suppose, in a way, is out there. He's up there for critique. We kind of know, at least to some extent, what he's doing. But then there are two other elements, one of which is extremely new and has broken overnight, and it concerns AI, which we'll get to. But just first, on the politics, it seems that Mr. Musk is not content with being the richest or second richest man in the world and accepting the power that that confers. He also wishes to exercise political power, direct political power. That is something that he has been doing over the course of the last few weeks, given he has become such a central player and figure in the court of Trump. This alliance between MAGA and Musk has been one of the most important defining features of our politics over the last 6 to 12 months. And I say our politics because I'm not just talking about American politics, because we have seen with his acquisition of Twitter, now X, we have seen the role, the mediating role, the defining role in our politics that Musk can play. It used to be said that it was the media who controlled the agenda, that certain radio programs in the morning controlled the nation's or dictated the nation's agenda. No longer. That function, I think, arguably has never been weaker with regards to the control that the media has in our conversation. Instead, very often these days, even in this country, the conversation is dictated by, and indeed to us, by the latest thing that Elon Musk has said on Twitter. We have seen that play out time and time and time again. You might say that is like the newspaper barons that we've had for years, but rarely has someone so directly, daily, influenced the political conversation in such an obvious manner. So there is that. But this is the bit where I think it becomes really, really sinister, because at least you can say with that that's in the open, that's straightforward. There's no opacity to that. What I think is going on, has been going on in the last couple of weeks within the US federal government is breathtaking. It is breathtaking for two reasons. One, the sheer audacity of it. What Musk has been doing, and again, you might not have been following this, and that's perfectly understandable. You got busy lives. You're not following every little bit of what Musk is doing. But what Musk has been doing has been going in to US government departments, federal departments, with his minions, with his employees, 20, 25-year-old, 30-year-old staff, his closest confidants, laying people off, shutting agencies down, seizing control of information and payment systems which have the access and details to tens, if not hundreds of millions of Americans. He has shut down agencies like USAID, the US Aid Development Agency. And he has done all of this, and he's doing it exactly as he did with Twitter. Go in, break things, smash things up, break them down. He is doing all of that without legal authority. In many of these cases, the agencies that he is shutting down, the things that he is doing, he does not have the authority to do so, even with President Trump's blessing and legitimacy. He doesn't. Only Congress can actually shut these agencies down. But the question is, and the key bit, is that Congress and others aren't willing to act because they are so acquiescent to Trump that the Republican majority in Congress is not willing to do anything about it. We have not seen anything like this before. Experts on democracy, others, have called it for what it is, which is someone like Timothy Snyder, an opponent of Trump in lots of ways, but someone who is an expert on democratic backsliding, has called it a coup. Now, the American media, and the media in this country in many cases, have not been describing it like that. It's barely got a mention. Or if it does get a mention, it's described as Musk going in, slashing federal spending, slashing, bureaucracy, all of this, that, and the other. No, that is not what it is. What it is Trump and Musk specifically, seizing control of elements of the American government illegally. Illegally. That's not some buccaneering, swashbuckling kind of pirate figure going in and sorting things out. It is someone acting extra to the law, extra to the legal framework. It is a form of state capture. And the really disturbing thing, that in much of the US media and in much of the British media, it is barely causing a raised eyebrow. We're treating it as if it's normal. That is the political end of things. And then overnight, we're seeing something else on the technological side of things. It's not just that he wants to plug us all into our brains on X. It's not just, as it has been rumored, that he'd like to buy TikTok with the connivance and acceptance of the Trump administration. He's also saying now, overnight, that he would like to buy OpenAI. This, of course, basically being the Google of the future. What Elon Musk would like to do is even control what we see on the internet when we search for things. This all goes back to some extent to a feud he's had with the OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. But Musk has announced that he is leading a consortium of investors that announced it had submitted a bid for $97.4 billion for all assets of the artificial intelligence company to OpenAI's board of directors. This is the startup, of course, which operates, among other things, ChatGPT, because it's been looking to restructure itself. And in has swept off the back of all of this, Elon Musk. He was, of course, a co-founder of OpenAI, but left the company in 2019 and started his own AI company called xAI. The bid is now backed by several investment firms, including big US government contractors and entertainment companies. Now, if this were to be successful, and Sam Altman is saying that it's not for sale, we'll hear from him, a clip from him in a second, but if he were to be successful, and do not forget he has the connivance and acceptance of Donald Trump right now in everything he does, I think that there would be a case to say that Elon Musk would be the most powerful individual who has ever lived. And that is because he would enjoy those three pillars: unbridled, unrivaled economic power, extraordinary access without any guardrails or impediment, at least for the moment, in politics via his closeness and proximity to Trump and his exercise of almost unrivaled power within the US federal government. And then technologically as well, his control not only of the space program, SpaceX, obviously Tesla, his industrial power, but also his media power via X and Twitter, and potentially OpenAI as well. He would be able to control and see what on the internet as we do, what we see on the internet, because OpenAI is basically the next Google, and it is going to be a huge part of our lives, even more than it is at the moment, in politics, in the things we search for, everything. I think that is profoundly worrying, and I think it is even more worrying that the media overall does not call it out for what it is. I shall not name the program or the station, but I did hear earlier on today a description of Mr. Musk as going in, as I say, just, like going in and slashing US bureaucracy and all of this sort of stuff. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is not what we're seeing. In another country, if it were another country, we would call it what it is. It's a form of state capture, and we should be worried about it. And my concern is that no one's going to stop him. No one is going to stop him because the media is acquiescent. The media is less powerful than it was. He controls much of the conversation. And indeed, on top of that, he has such control of the levers of politics. How did we get here? How did we get here? What do you think Elon Musk's ultimate aim is? Because I think it is a form of world domination. And I don't mean that in sending soldiers in stupid hats into places. But what else is this other than an attempt to control almost so many aspects of our lives? This is Sam Altman on OpenAI talking about Musk's offer at the Paris AI Summit today.
Should you have taken Elon's offer?
You refused $1 billion for Elon Musk. What do you want to say to Elon Musk?
Received what from him?
Almost $100 billion, right?
The company is not for sale, neither is the mission. We're happy to buy Twitter if you want to talk about that.
Can you afford your own company now,
question.
though? It does raise that question.
What?
Can you afford to buy OpenAI off the non-profit now?
The board will decide what to do there. The nonprofit will continue as a very, very strong thing. The mission is really important, and we're just, we're totally focused on making sure we preserve that.
So that was Sam Altman, the owner of OpenAI, or the leader of it, saying that OpenAI is not for sale, but it is going through a restructuring. And of course, there could be a hostile takeover, and it is entirely possible. This is, as I say, a long-running feud between Musk and Sam Altman, but it's entirely possible that this could play out with Elon Musk being able to purchase OpenAI. And as I say, if he does that, it is possible that he will be, in my view, at least one of the most powerful people who have ever lived. Not least because, as I say, he has the open connivance and acceptance of the Trump administration. This is Vice President J.D. Vance, who's attending that same Paris AI Summit, the Grand Palais. This is what he had to say about regulation of AI.
We believe that excessive regulation of the AI sector could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off, and we'll make every effort to encourage pro-growth AI policies. And I like to see that deregulatory flavor making its way into a lot of the conversations this conference. I'm not here this morning to talk about AI safety, which was the title of the conference a couple of years ago. I'm here to talk about AI opportunity.
So as you hear there from Vance, there is no prospect of America regulating AI anytime soon. And I think that prospect would become even more remote if Musk were to buy OpenAI. But honestly, this man is accruing astounding power. What do you think his ultimate aim is? And should we be scared of Elon Musk?